The March sky above Flagstaff was crisp and uncommonly still. A small countdown calendar in Janelle's house still clung to the kitchen door. The same one she had marked off for her son Garrison's birthday. But today, those dated days bore a different sort of significance, because this year, those very early March days were the very same days. Her daughter Maddie had been eagerly anticipating her baby's due date. The same week her family had grieved the loss of Garrison would now become the week that they would bring new life into the world. As Janelle stood by the window that morning, phone in her hand, she breathed, "It's almost the same day." And with one line, full of longing and hope, the whole family became embroiled in a maelstrom of feeling that no one was entirely ready for. Life sometimes writes its own symmetry, a loss on a particular day being a day of rebirth. If your best memory was wrapped in your toughest one, how would you deal with it? Let us know in the comments. The quiet hum of the refrigerator filled the still morning air within Janelle's kitchen. Half a mug of coffee was left on the counter, its steam vanishing into March's gray light. Outside, light snowflakes fell against the window pane, the same type of snowfall Garrison adored. He'd always send a group text announcing, "Flagstaff is magical again." But today, this March morning, was unlike all those others. Janelle gazed at that same snow, her phone screen illuminating with a message from Maddie. "Mom." Contractions began. For a moment, time felt cruelly poetic. March Wooth, the same date Garrison had left the world a year ago. And now, her daughter's baby was fighting its way into it. Janelle's breath caught somewhere between laughter and tears. She whispered, "You'd have loved this, Gar." In North Carolina, Maddie paced the floor of her living room, phone gripped tightly. Caleb, her husband, had already set out the hospital bag. The nursery was prepared, pale yellow walls, sunlight streaming through lace drapes, a framed picture of Garrison on the shelf beside the crib. Maddie had refused to remove it. "He needs to be a part of her story," she had said months earlier. Caleb had smiled and nodded silently, understanding some wounds never completely heal. What does one do when the day that used to destroy you returns, tricked out as a blessing? In Arizona, Janelle phoned Christine. Her voice shook, a mixture of sadness and delight. "She's in labor, Chris." Today, of all days. There was a silence, a sigh from the other end of the phone. Christine's tone softened. "Of course, it's today. Garrison wouldn't have had it otherwise." The two women, now united by loss, more than by marriage, remained quiet for a very long time. The kind of quiet that spoke volumes. Christine recalled the sound of Garrison's laughter ringing through the family's dilapidated Las Vegas house. He'd been the introvert among masses, but the prankster in the home setting. I had the bonding agent among siblings who had grown up in pandemonium. Since his death, Christine had endured her sorrow differently, directing it into peace, into little gestures of affection. She sent Maddie a handmade baby blanket, blue and cream, with the letters GB embroidered in one corner. Maddie wept when she opened it. Midway through that afternoon, as snow continued to fall in Flagstaff, Kody sat by himself in his car outside a cafe. He hadn't talked much to Janelle since the breakup, but he knew today was the day. His face in the windshield appeared older, heavier. Regret had joined him as his silent friend. This time, he did not attempt to call. He simply sat and stared at his phone, scrolling through past pictures of Garrison on a hike outside Sedona, sun shining on his shoulders. Kody muttered, "I should have been there more." Grief is odd in its ability to humble even the most arrogant heart. As word traveled in the family group text, messages filtered through, Robyn with a string of heart emojis and a prayer, Mary with a single sentence, "He'd be proud of you, Maddie." Despite the distance, everyone was together once more for that one vulnerable day. Hours went by. Maddie's contractions intensified. The nurses rushed. The monitor beeped softly, and the hospital lights glimmered in her eyes. Between gasps, she told Caleb in a barely audible voice, "I just want to do this right for him." Caleb tightened his grip on her hand. "You already are." Back in Arizona, Janelle couldn't sit still. Every sound made her flinch. Clock ticking, the kettle clicking off, her phone buzzing. She opened Garrison's old room, which was left untouched since last year. His jacket was still hanging from the chair, She could smell the faint scent of his cologne. Cologne. She sat on his bed and sobbed at last, quietly. "Your niece is coming, baby boy," she whispered. "Keep her safe." The wind from outside changed, tapping slightly against the window, near enough to a reply. Occasionally, the universe gives its responses in breaths, not language. At midnight in North Carolina, Maddie's scream cut through the silence. Her baby had come. The doctor smiled, the nurse giggled softly, and Caleb's eyes overflowed. Maddie stared at the small face in her arms, so new, so breathing, and the world came to stand still. The hospital clock read, "Sure are C8M, March, Leith." A few minutes past Garrison's birthday, in Arizona, Janelle's phone vibrated a second time. The text was, "She's here. March, deutete, Sure, s." Janelle sighed, half smiling through tears. "Of course, she waited," she whispered. As the snow finally ceased, a narrow ray of moonlight poured across the kitchen floor. Janelle lifted her eyes, and for the first time in a long while, felt something, peace and wonder. And still, beneath that peace, one consideration remained heavy in her thoughts. How would the rest of the family respond when they discovered the date, the high, near-shared birthday that could reopen all wounds they'd worked so hard to seal? Because sometimes healing starts exactly where the heartbreak won't quit. Morning light crept through the blinds of Janelle's living room, casting gold lines on the floor. The phone was next to her uneaten coffee, a note from Maddie still lingering on the screen. "She's perfect, Mom." We named her Amelia Estelle. The name itself made Janelle breathe easier. Soft, vintage, gentle, but underneath that calm, something churned, the heaviness of what that day meant. She whispered to herself, "March, like." Just a few minutes apart, the margin between happiness and sorrow was paper thin. It was not lost on anyone in the family. Christine woke up early in Utah, scrolling through the group text. A smile spread to her face at the first photo, little Amelia swaddled in a cream blanket, eyes hardly open. But at the timestamp, her fingers hesitated mid-scroll. She glanced at David, still half asleep next to her. "It's the 6th, just after midnight," she whispered. David cracked one eye open, nodding, already knowing. Life found a way to mend her heart. Christine leaned back, her throat constricting. Or it could just shatter it all over again. So, beg, because sometimes joy isn't strong enough to wash away what preceded it. It only makes you feel it twice as intensely. At home in Flagstaff, Janelle decided to leave a voice note, a message she'd send to all her children later that evening. Her voice shook as she talked. "Hi, everyone. I just wanted to let you all know how proud I am of Maddie. The baby's healthy, gorgeous, and yes, she came pretty much the same day we lost Garrison." A silence. "I think maybe he had something to do with that." She struck stop, and then at once erased the recording. She didn't know if her words were soothing or just opening old wounds. Later that same day, the private family group chat sprang to life again. Robyn posted, "So precious. God's timing is always perfect." Christine answered with a nice heart emoji, but she grumbled under her breath, "Perfect? No, just painful and poetic, Kody." Hours of silence having passed, finally sent something too. "Proud of Maddie. Garrison would have loved her." The message lingered there like a rock in the center of the river, there, weighty, yet unclaimed. Nobody responded for a while. Janelle glared at it, her thumb resting over her screen. 1,000 things she wished to write down. Anger, forgiveness, fatigue, all clamoring behind her ribcage. But she wrote not one of them. Simply put the phone down and looked out the window. Grief distorts what you say. Sometimes it takes words, sometimes it makes silence, so much bigger than anything you have to say. Evening arrived. Maddie lay in her hospital bed, baby Amelia sleeping next to her. The room was quiet, sterile, and warm, but her mind would not be still. She thought back over the past few days, the contractions, the pain, the terror that she would give birth to a child on the same day. Her brother died. "I prayed she'd wait," Maddie whispered. I didn't want to share the date." Caleb wrapped his fingers gently around her own. She waited. "Perhaps that's Garrison's way of giving you peace." Tears slipped down her face, silent and relentless. "Peace," she whispered, as if attempting to persuade herself. In Arizona, Janelle sat beside Christine on a video call that evening. Both women appeared exhausted but serene, their pale faces lit by soft lamplight. Christine smiled weakly. "You did good, Janelle." "She's safe. He'd be proud," Janelle nodded. "It's strange. I feel like I've been holding my breath for a year. And now I can finally exhale." Christine inched forward toward the camera. "You know what I think? I think Garrison knew she needed to come close to that day, so you'd remember him, not just mourn him. Healing doesn't erase pain, it just teaches you how to carry it differently." The following morning, Robyn posted something on her locked story, a picture of a sunrise with the caption, "Life and loss, side by side. God makes no mistakes." It spread quickly among the children, though no one said anything. But in private, Janelle felt something churn, annoyance perhaps, or sorrow. She didn't perceive it as divine perfection. She perceived it as chaos, attempting to make sense of itself. Late that evening, after everyone had quieted down, Kody called. His voice broke on the second syllable. "Janelle." "I heard the baby was born." Janelle remained quiet for a moment. "Yes, she's lovely." He paused, the space between them growing big. Do you think she feels close to him?" Janelle let out a slow breath. "I think we all do, Kody. Some days, that's a blessing. Some days, it's too much to bear." They did not fight. They did not weep. The phone went softly dead, with nothing resolved, just two people stuck between remembering their son and welcoming a granddaughter. Janelle peered at her own reflection in the black glass of the window, cherry, whispering, "He gave her back to us, didn't he?" Her own voice was heard again faintly, like the house was responding. But peace, when it finally arrives, often carries the sound of something unfinished. The next morning, a new text came from Maddie. "We're coming to Arizona soon." Janelle smiled through tears, unaware that bringing Amelia back home, back to where Garrison's memory still lingered in. Every corner would stir emotions no one in the family was ready to face again. Because the hardest part of healing is when the memories come home, too. The Arizona air felt heavy that morning when Janelle finally saw Maddie's message, "We'll land by 10 p.m. She closed her eyes, took a long breath, and whispered, "Home." Flagstaff had never been home after Garrison's death. His laughter filled all the silences. Now even the walls waited in breathless suspense. Janelle went through the motions of dusting bookshelves, folding throw blankets, opening curtains, tiny rituals to soothe her frazzled nerves. As Maddie brought baby Amelia over, tuck-tuck, the windblown leaves spilled over the driveway when the car finally arrived. Caleb got out first, followed by Maddie, cradling the wrapped newborn against her. Janelle stood transfixed at the doorway, smiling, shaking. The baby's soft cry shattered something within her. She whispered, "Welcome back, sweetheart." Inside the house seemed both living and haunted. A photograph of Garrison, framed, sat near the mantel. Maddie's eyes picked it up at once. She smiled weakly, muttering, "She looks like him, doesn't she?" Janelle nodded, too swiftly, her voice breaking before it found words. "Grief never actually leaves, it just learns how to hide behind your smile." Christine arrived that night. She hugged Maddie, kissed the baby's head, and then surveyed the room as if she might see Garrison appear from behind a door. "He's here somewhere," she whispered. Janelle smiled dolefully. "He always is." As the evening grew darker, the family huddled around the fire. Caleb spoke quietly about the flight. Maddie swayed Amelia to sleep. Then, suddenly, without anything being said, Christine spoke what everyone had been tiptoeing around. "It's hard not to think about the date." The words fell like rocks into quiet water. Janelle's hands clenched on her mug. Maddie watched the flames. "I know. I thought I'd be okay. But coming into this house," her voice cracked, "it feels as if I have two hearts, one new and one lost." Christine put her hand on Maddie's knee. "That's all right. You don't have to divide them." Down the street, Kody sat in his truck. He had not been invited. He was sure of it. But he had seen the pictures on the internet. Maddie cradling the baby, Janelle standing next to her. It seemed like a scene he was no longer a part of. For the first time in years, Kody felt anything less than the leader of everything. He was just a man outside his own narrative. He called Janelle twice, then hung up. She answered the third time, Her voice was flat and not cruel. Yes, Kody? I I just wanted to see her. Just once. Janelle hesitated. It's late. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow, he said, though both of them knew tomorrow seldom came as they wished. Sometimes distance isn't measured in miles. It's in all the things left unsaid. As the call ended, Kody sat there through the flickering lights of the house beyond the trees. He had pictured Garrison sitting by that same window, once, grinning at a future that seemed now to be out of reach. Inside, Christine assisted with the cleanup, and Janelle wrapped Maddie in a blanket. They whispered, like women preserving something holy. Do you think bringing her here was a mistake? Janelle asked. Christine shook her head. No, you can't heal away from the place you broke. Later that evening, when everyone was sleeping, Janelle sneaked into Garrison's old room. Yeah. Amelia's bassinet had been set close to the door just overnight. The moonlight sliced across the floor and landed precisely on Garrison's photo. Janelle whispered, She's beautiful, isn't she? You'd tease her already. The air was heavy, as if it was holding its breath alongside her. And then, down the hallway, a soft creak, soft but unmistakable. Janelle spun quickly. No one. The house remained silent. She smiled to herself, shaking her head. All right, baby boy. I feel you. When love remains, it has its own methods of reminding us it never really went away. Like the following morning dawned with a tentative peace. Kody sent another text. Can I come by? Maddie spotted the message on Janelle's phone and stopped in her tracks. Mom, I don't know if I can deal with that today. Janelle took a breath. Neither can I. But perhaps we should. An hour later, Kody stood on the porch, hat in hand, nerves plain on his face. When Janelle opened the door, he stepped inside slowly, eyes darting toward the bassinet. The sight of that tiny baby, Garrison's niece, made him falter. His lips trembled. She's beautiful. Maddie stayed quiet, holding Amelia close. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Kody whispered, I'm sorry. The room held its breath. For what? Janelle whispered. He bowed his head. For not being here. For him. For you. For all of this. Janelle's eyes welled up. Maddie averted her face, tears flowing quietly down her cheeks. Caleb put a hand on her shoulder. Kody struggled to say something, but the words evaporated, eaten by the hum of the baby monitor. Forgiveness tends to come as a whisper, so softly, you can't, even tell if you heard it, or simply hoped you had. Janelle hesitated at last. It's all right, Kody. We all carry our demons differently. But as he moved toward her, Amelia stirred and started crying, soft, then loudly, her little body shaking. Shoo! The noise shattered whatever tentative peace had remained. Maddie spun around, holding her daughter. Please, not now. Kody stopped short, his expression crumbling. He took a step back, shame etched on his face. He turned and left without another word. Janelle closed the door, her shoulders shuddering, half relief, half loss. Christine took her hand, a firm grip. The room seemed colder now. Maddie rocked the baby, tears running freely. Mom, she whispered, I thought it would help. Janelle wiped a tear from her face. It did, honey. But healing never looks the way we want. Outside, Kody's truck engine revved, growing distant as twilight consumed the street. Within, silence again fell, this time not empty. It was saturated with memory, remorse, and the soft whisper of a lullaby on Maddie's lips, because sometimes the only way to face the past is to let it walk through your door one last time. Yee! Yell yik! The following morning in Flagstaff dawned soft and gray, a gentle drizzle pattering against the windows like restless fingers. Janelle stood in the kitchen, clutching a cold cup of tea, her mind still knotted up in last night's quiet. The house had a hint of baby lotion and cinnamon candle. That scent from Christine, lighting it before she went to bed, all felt stuck, as if even time didn't wish to advance. Kody's visit lingered in every room. His apology looped over and over inside Janelle's head, a broken record, trapped on the same hurtful phrase, for not being there. 4 words that were true, but too late, a year too late, perhaps more. She gazed at the couch, where Maddie now sat, cradling Amelia with red-rimmed eyes, the baby's gentle breathing, the only beat solid enough to hold them together. Christine folded blankets in silence beside her, feeling the weight no one wished to acknowledge. "Sometimes peace is more expensive than we imagine," she whispered. Janelle nodded, not able to reply. Healing doesn't occur in an instant. It occurs in the silent hours. Thereafter, when you figure out what to make of what's left. By noon, the rain stopped. Maddie proposed that they go to the spot on the hill, Dart, where Garrison used to shoot sunset photos, his favorite overlook. Caleb was loading the car as Janelle stuffed a tiny wildflower bouquet into her bag. She paused before she added one of Amelia's newborn hats into the bag, a cream-colored soft knit, little more than the size of her palm. As they came to the overlook, the wind was carrying that sharp pine smell that always brought back memories of Janelle's son. The valley below opened wide and green, still glistening from rain. Maddie made her slow way to the wooden railing, hugging Amelia close. She whispered, "This is where he'd have taken her first." Her voice broke. Janelle put the flowers in the ground, flattening them into the soggy dirt. Christine was standing next to her, one hand on Janelle's shoulder. "He'd want you to smile here," she whispered. "You know that." Janelle's own tears finally fell, the kind she'd restrained for so many months. They weren't boisterous or manic, just slow and unstoppable. "I miss his noise," she panted between breaths, the way he'd come bursting in like a storm. "Now the house is polite. Too quiet." Maddie glared at her mother, mascara tear tracks running down her face. "She'll never know him," she whispered. "That's what kills me." Janelle moved closer, sweeping a piece of hair away from her daughter's face. "Perhaps not, but she'll sense him. In the stories you tell her, in the way you laugh as he did. The people we lose do not leave us hollow, they leave imprints on the moments we construct for them." Returning to town, Kody drove alone in his truck, gazing at the murky horizon. He had learned from Robyn that Janelle had visited the overlook. He wanted to go there too, to have his own private farewell. But something within held him back. Guilt was a map he had lost the skill to navigate. Instead, he left a voicemail and emailed it to Janelle. His voice broke over static. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I loved him. I just didn't know how to show it." When Janelle listened to the message, later that evening, she did not respond. She simply closed her eyes and whispered, "I know." At supper, Christine attempted to dispel the tension. "You know," she grinned, "Garrison once said he'd name his first child after a Star Wars character." Maddie giggled between her sniffles. "Yeah, he wanted a little Leah darting around." Even Caleb smiled. It was odd, but reassuring to allow laughter reverberate in the house once more. The baby moved, small fists waving above her. Maddie kissed her forehead. "Perhaps she doesn't require his name," she said. "Perhaps just his strength." Loss starts to melt once laughter pushes its way back in. Later in the evening, when the sun set below the mountains, Janelle sat out alone. Orange and violet lit the sky, the same type of sunset that Garrison used to take pictures of. The low hum of Christine singing to the baby drifted from inside. Janelle breathed softly. He'd love her. He'd tell her stories. He'd make her brave. The trees rustled in the breeze, soft but persistent, nearly an answer. Inside, Maddie scrolled through her phone, coming to rest on an old picture of her brother smiling, came around his neck. She made it Amelia's wallpaper. Caleb saw and smiled gently. "That's wonderful," he said. Maddie looked up. She'll grow up with his face in mind. While Kody stood on his porch a mile away, watching the same sunset, Robyn slipped out behind him. "You could still go," she said. He shook his head. "Not today. They don't require me to make an appearance. They simply require me to not disappear." Sometimes the best apology is one that is silent and one of change. That evening, they all slept early. The house breathed in sync once more, slow, serene. Is there was much there to see that I am sailing my stacks be leathered and washing us. Hurry such for Madon. When it must swing in a gibbet, gals lifted up, rash the way the thought that. Mish, stick. Girl, get the night night herring in a reef that's no to land. Wani lear from your self it on you. That's said that had we only. Nice, zero, isn't it? Partner. Hurt file this and no with. Not sort of living on what if net side but the snitch you. Her game see but see what. And Easter and Ned. Math all love. Snell ass in the dutch it. It herb so wish. It is no for the necessary. The wheel guys get that. Sashner knitting a shell. Where all snit they are. Her daughter nurse blinded. Sunny with the center lips a lot like the power gets roses. I maybe if and I'd snell gish. Ish the. Ah, need him. Da her cushish. Da her cushish. Ah, need him. Da her cushish. Hey, I'm waiting at you at the first. It was the sorry, doing our shots. Mammy, that's it. I'm yes, you're freaking it. Herb so wish. Da her wolf will meet I'm self knowing it being upset. And ash, then we're fluttering it out. No, I was the fondness or brother eating it out. Business send vigor. Oh, the any, but they're up me, her fun. Snowing is ukes, sir, and I was by Renee, his niece, sir. Say, a slunge. Hurry, he's needed with his spots, and they won the V. There, what us no one, and not so we know. He'll ear, we value, you know, we're fat off. Her thumb or your snail bister that are your friend, I be fell for him asked the sad mammy's lot of plus him figure feeler. Him figure for that we phone or that. Stay out with the week's get him on. Hurry, but a shot. Staggy, her off a ton. Spurs is we name in the bit of shot. And now, see how much. Det är att se klart se av sig. Det måste visst få här upp. Steady rust då det när vi så är örsna så är. Det sig. Och med att måste då vara. Hör be but the lo. No we net det snail inte det. Ngel mest snai se hör det alltså inte på idag. Jag know vi. Fallet net. Heel out det där ni ser. Fallet sen ser ingen av vi kan aldrig. Heel else track silver. Hurry klar with valdi. Det upp. Så deep så det hedi. Heel fast night good night girl, but snug and I her sail blinded, and now singing Roman the Inge Paller was so at shirt. Here's what it look or saw it. Here's I didn't like speaking no we're vet. Oh, yeah, I'm the rock, yell, so snitter of spills it. I'm the derp, so we meh. Yell schoolish, and the fast and the sharps gazzy looking at Snra as I'm the dirt, see baby. Lodge living it become more ring again, caps, but snitzer. Oh, yeah, there are the lopsy. He look get it sat up on stick. My those out college, and you'd have nerve weaking it. Line is dirt sajdi, and her ma, safe in it little heady for that. Such that it that love mark, nice in it little for it out but see her stalky. That it was her loshi, near so safe see look, so nem nazar, siege the loch, but her ain't the nothing in the cups nut. Her each sal, or reef, in the serexness, stops no one in a bar, a heel my fin master for the wit. You look up the loft, and making the bar. Maar veel naast dat zo gaat de wees daarvoor fit. En ik ben de wees daarvoor naar zo'n veel smaak mas. Nou, als dat wel very. Twee blinders. Snel maar maar we nou weer red pots de. Her was nice in het heel vast door gegeven. Nou, het verlag het heel ben het loos. Hij maybe even leer. Her het kan dus zien. Maar zo wat. Dit online dus. En al dan nou wat is die. En de heel naast blijam zich. Dat ja, zich loor voor de week. They fast met the wish, seer, hurt fal, schder, val, der no, the darks in the mother's so back for the cyber, we get the surf making it sir, seer, he when the nervish, sveel stick, hurt no, to be aver, so I must let it go and I yacht up. It is now, so we're still your own, very, but necessary, start, necessary group, nailing life, but you're not, but thank you, night, so one, starber beat get to do sock, final. Sensor near sealer at the nature fat scalp near it. Stay out, and it looks so in your moment. We not but service stick. There vax it is it. There is work smash my second. Scan your fur, which is need a hero. Our very people don't know we're vet on. Here's your own mobs in the series that say up the great assist. Here, that is much the hill my fan. We're almost sick. We still got here, but I name them at the look near the hurry, see. Near so the lamp slender, slower when you to pray, it's not English to visit. They're walking in that skit, night home snow. He left see their mouth sailing mirror, a bear could throw twoomish. Matty, her white lips, my woo, and that's the nice cockle. Spare her and eat on the net, safe for another east to the wish. Her like it's set back we. Mom, that is we, yes, it fits it on. Scale listening in it. Lamps, snizzer was up, and a shell covers it on, and this rake with mirrors blinded, snum no master for the nay with the skim, syrup, soaked fast, see babe, but for one instant, all eyes were tracking that movement, the baby's fingers reaching up toward the dot light, and it was like a word from the one who was gone. Go, perhaps love doesn't really end. Perhaps it just transforms shape, from holding hands to guiding memories. As they turned away, Kody slowed. He reached out and pressed his hand against the trunk, for the last time, muttering something too softly for anyone to discern. Then he glanced up, eyes shining with both regret and release. In the car, Janelle gazed out the window, losing the oak in the distance. Maddie rode beside her, Amelia curled up in her lap. "Mom," she asked, "do you think he knows?" Janelle smiled weakly. "Oh, he knows. He's probably laughing at all of us right now." "Eh?" They both laughed quietly through their tears. The sound wasn't weighted this time. It was warm, human, alive. As the car swerved onto the long, dusty road, Life's camera drew back, one tall oak tree against the mountains, sun breaking through cloud, and, for the first time in a very long time, the Brown family was not defined by loss, but by what they'd all found again, because ultimately, grief will take what it needs, but love remains to construct anew from the wreckage, Shiel symbol. What do you believe? Can a family really mend from this type of loss? Or is healing merely adapting to the pain? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. The Arizona sun dropped below the tall pines, splashing the sky in gentle amber and rose. The air was full of that calm hum that follows rain, still but vibrant. In Janelle's house, the laughter had returned, unforced, borrowed, not genuine. Maddie lounged on the couch, baby Amelia chuckling in her lap, as Christine poked fun at Caleb's diaper folding skills. Even Robyn had dropped by for a few minutes, bearing a casserole and a hesitant smile. It was not a reunion, not quite, but it was a start. Kody stayed out for a bit longer, lingering around Garrison's old pickup truck by the tree line. He stroked his hand over the hood, talking to the wind. Then, for the first time in months, he stepped inside. No tension, no awkward moment, just a man finally ready to listen. Janelle glanced up from her chair and into his eyes. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. The quiet was gentler, now tangled with forgiveness and the distant chuckle of baby laughter. And healing doesn't always happen as some big moment. Sometimes it happens as a quiet, like a night, when everyone just breathes the same air for the first time again. As dusk deepened, the family gathered around the living room. Christine handed out mugs of cocoa, Robyn sat near the window, and Kody gently rocked Amelia for the first time. She stared up at him, eyes wide, curious. His voice cracked slightly as he whispered, "Hey there, little one. I'm your grandpa." The word grandpa hung in the air, fragile but full of redemption. Maddie grinned. "She likes you," she whispered. Kody chuckled quietly, the sound startling even him. Janelle caught Sevi that instant. Janelle Kody Beastie Sephorish. Janelle caught that instant, that fleeting, impossible instant, and felt the tension in her chest release for the first time in a long time. The flickering firelight played upon their faces, making soft shadows and warmly encasing the room like a benediction. Christine leaned against him, whispering, "Look at us. We actually made it through." Janelle nodded. "Not how we intended, but perhaps how we required. Tear. For sometimes, love comes back not in words or vows, but in the strength to sit with you again after all has imploded." Outside, leaves on the memorial oak whispered in the wind. Porch chimes sang softly, 3 gentle notes, a memory drifting by. Christine smiled, looking in the direction of the sound. "He's here," she said softly. "He's proud of this." Janelle stroked a tear from Maddie's cheek. "He gave us her," she whispered. "That's how he stayed." The camera of the moment expanded. One family, battered but breathing once more, bathed in warmth, forgiveness, and a child who was the embodiment of loss and life. Amelia's small hand extended toward the flash of firelight, clinging to it as if she could grasp the entire world. And perhaps, in her own way, she did. Sometimes life doesn't replace what you've lost, but teaches you how to hold it in softer hands. Night had descended in earnest now. Stars were sprinkled across the each one like a soft reminder that love never actually goes away. It merely takes on different shapes, shines in new faces, new laughter, new starts. The family sat together, no longer discussing the past, but softly questioning the future. Maddie rested her head on her mother's shoulder. "You think he can see us?" she asked. Janelle smiled weakly. "Oh, baby, he's right here." The camera expands out. The Brown family, their fire burning beneath the black Flagstaff sky, laughter amidst grief, life, because in the end, it wasn't the loss that defined them. It was the love that refused to die. Yo.